If you take a closer look at the fabric of our communities, you'll notice the contributions of people who brought their hopes, their dreams, talents with them to the United States. You'll also see the generosity of those who look beyond our borders to make a difference in the lives of people around the world. I'm Jared Hill. In this episode of Stitch, we're taking a look at the global community ties that make us stronger. I'm in DC at the National Children's Museum. The mission here is to inspire kids to care about and change the world. This first story from Steve Minnick shows us how a woman in Maine is using her art to help young girls stay in school on the other side of the globe.
My feminist nature pushes me towards supporting women in every way I can, and I don't have a barrier of it being the US or anywhere else.
Kimberly Becker is supporting young women in the African nation of Uganda. Creating the organization Sew Like a Girl, she raises money through the sale of her handmade dolls, money she then donates to a Ugandan agency that builds schoolyard bathrooms.
The bathroom situation is basically some holes in the ground. The boys don't seem to care, but the girls, when they need more privacy as they become teenagers, they don't have it. And so they drop out of school.
Kimberly is a lifelong artist, a painter with a background in textiles and embroider.
The dolls were sort of an offshoot of the sewing. I'll sew these guys on like this.
Each of her dolls is one of a kind and all made from used clothing.
There she is. Giving her own little personality, her own life.
Selling 120 at a time, each batch helps raise the nearly $11,000 it takes to build a single bathroom facility, providing that privacy and hopefully the encouragement for girls to remain in school.
So 12, 13, 14-year-old girls are leaving school and not completing their educations. And by providing them with the bathrooms, we're saying, you matter, we see you, and we want to help you, and we respect the needs that you have as young women.
Watching as the latest bathroom is opened at a school in rural Uganda, Kimberly can't help to be awed by the scope of celebration. The bright colors, the music, the appreciation. And all of that, the very reason why half a world away, Kimberly will continue making her dolls, hoping to make a change in some young girl's life.
It was such a turning point for me to see my art do something for someone else.
Access to clean water is a necessity that can easily be taken for granted. For this next athlete, helping those who don't have it is the thing pushing her to some incredible limits.
One of the things that endurance has taught me is that if you have a strong enough why, you can figure out how, and my why is water.
Katie Spots has raised thousands of dollars for clean water. How she does it, she measures in extreme distance, running, biking, even rowing thousands of miles to benefit the international organization H2O for Life.
When I learned about water, I was just so blown away by the magnitude that at the time it was 1 billion or 1 in 6 people without something as basic as water.
An Ohio native, Katie is an officer in the Coast Guard, currently stationed in South Portland for 3 years.
Maine is, a really gorgeous state, and I can't think of a better way to explore it than by human power.
In just the last 2 years, Katie has used that human power to bicycle the length of Maine's coast, run nonstop from Coburn Gore to Freeport. She's also run the entire length of New Hampshire, Vermont, Ohio. Years worth of endurance adventures that also include rowing a boat from Africa to South America, all to raise money for water.
Knowing that this can be used as a channel to help others, I can't think of a better way to kind of live out a passion to do something while combining it with a greater purpose.
The money Kate raises through donations is used worldwide, helping to pay for digging wells, building latrines, wash stations, providing clean, safe water to thousands of people. To date, she says 30,000 people through her efforts alone.
I'm really encouraged that people are doing something about the issue that, and making these donations that could last for a decade or decades to come.
Grueling as each adventure is, when crossing the finish line, Katie's first concern is never how fast or how far, rather how much.
I'm most encouraged by the results of the adventures, and I hope that my story can also inspire others to kind of see their own inner strength and see that they might be more capable than they think.
If you're tired of playing the same old board games at home, check out this story from Maine about a woodworker bringing new life to an old Canadian pastime.
Never heard of it in my life.
Up until just months ago, Rick Hazelton had never heard, seen, or much less built a crokinole board. And he knows games. For 3 decades, he's been crafting them out of wood. Cribbage boards, card holders, and this one he calls the Hanoi Tower game.
What it is, you have to get all these discs over here without putting a large one on top of a small one.
For so many years, just a basement hobby, it was 2 years ago that Rick approached Diversions Puzzles and Games.
I said, gee, maybe I can make $1 or $2 with this.
Today, the store both sells and showcases his work, including Rick's handmade crokinole boards, a special request that came from the store's manager.
And I said, I got no idea what they are. Came home, did the search on YouTube and the internet, got the dimensions and everything, and I made one and took it over, and he said, that's exactly what I want.
All right, this is where we play.
This is where we play.
These days, not only has Rick learned to build the boards, he's come to enjoy playing the game as well. And it's pretty simple, actually.
First person to 100 wins.
The goal is to flick your pucks into the center hole, or keep them as close as possible. It's a family game, but in Canada, where it seems to be most popular, folks can take it pretty seriously.
It's a big Canadian game. They actually have a national championship up there. I don't know whether it's 100 people or 1,000 people, but they do have a national championship.
Rick says the pandemic has kept him pretty busy. With so many people at home looking for games to play, he's been building quite a few of just about everything, including crokinole boards. Here in Maine, at least, not your most conventional kind of game.
Different games people want to play, and this is certainly different than Monopoly or some other board game.
Next up, we're going from our northern neighbors to our friends south of the border. Let's head over to the West Coast, where Hispanic connections are making Sacramento a more vibrant place every day. First, we'll hear from KCRA reporter Lisa Gonzalez, who will introduce us to a family keeping cultural traditions alive.
Cigars, salsa dancing, and Cuban culture. It's a little slice of Havana inside Castilla Cigars.
We make everything we sell.
Tucked away in this strip mall in Citrus Heights, owners Pierre and Ana Perales love to share their culture with customers.
Well, our Cuban culture is everything.
It's also where their love began.
We met at this shop in that humidor.
I remember everything. I remember who was in the room, what she was wearing, what I was wearing, where she was, everything she said, all of that.
So was it love at first sight for you?
Absolutely. From that very moment. We were married that second.
That second happened only because Ana happened to be driving down Madison Avenue.
I literally almost caused an accident. I swerved. I'm like, hit the brakes. turned quickly into this parking lot because I saw Cuban. That's all I saw. I didn't even know it was cigars. And he was here trying to sell me cigars, and I looked at him, I'm like, I am not interested in these cigars at all. I came in looking for something Cuban, and I had just moved to the area from New Orleans, and I stumbled upon him, and the rest is history. I definitely found what I was looking for.
Now, 15 years and 2 kids later, the Perales family proudly continues their family tradition of rolling fresh cigars.
So we're a manufacturer. We use the finest tobacco out of Dominican Republic. There's some examples here. This is a nice golden Ecuador Connecticut shade, but grown in Dominican Republic. And this is how they come dried, see? And then once we treat them with some moisture and reintegrate moisture in them, they become pliable, almost leather-like, you know?
And rolled into every cigar they sell is tradition, passed down to Pierre from his father, who escaped a Cuban concentration camp to find freedom in America.
You know, we've come from many, many years and decades of oppression, 60 years of communist control. And still, our parents escaped in 1968, broke out of a communist concentration camp. My dad dove into the Guantanamo Bay, swam 2 miles, where the Marines plucked him out of the water. Talk about a harrowing story. And I get to see my dad every day of my life and run this operation with him here in this family-run business.
Here at Casillas Cigars, they have more than 36 types of fresh hand-rolled cigars. But it's more than just a Cuban cigar shop. It's a community hangout where people from all walks of life come together.
It definitely is a part of the community. A good friend of mine put it once, that your business is by the people, of the people, and for the people.
Pierre and Ana say historically, sharing cigars with family and friends has always been a spiritual part of their heritage.
So smoking and sharing a cigar is as ritualistic as breaking bread. You know, it's in times of peace, in times of war, in times of victory, in times of sorrow. You know, it's like a good friend. It consoles you, it hears you. And when it's done, it's like saying goodbye to a good friend that heard you, and you leave it behind with all the ashes and all the smoke, and that's where it stays.
Cigars are a way that, culturally speaking, we were able to communicate with the gods. So the smoke would carry our prayers or our wishes up to the gods. Entertainment service where we have costume dancers like Vegas showgirls, and people really get a kick out of it.
We do Havana Nights where she'll come out in the Carmen Miranda kind of outfit, and yeah. And we're hand rolling cigars, she's teaching salsa, and we're sharing our culture with the party.
Making their mark on our community while keeping their family traditions alive.
I feel very in touch with my culture, and I feel the opportunity to be able to share my culture in a part of the world where it's not very exposed, where it's not very well known.
Every day we strive to, get more of our culture out there through dance and through art, because that is what is in our blood. That is what is in our history. So we like to share that with other people.
KCRA reporter Kay Racine knows the way around the Sacramento cultural scene, and she's introducing us to a musician using his love of music to bring people together from all walks of life.
On the beat, within the rhythm, in the center of a musical measure. Carlos Candia has found solace.
I started doing percussions and trumpet and, learning how to read music. And that's where I stay. And that was the place where I feel peace.
A peace he continues to bring to his adopted community of Sacramento with concerts, musical language lessons, and theatrical displays.
And that's why I do music, because it brings happiness to the people. It brings joy.
A joy he first discovered as a boy in Villeta, Colombia.
Taekwondo, swimming lessons, even karting. I was driving when I was 7 years old. I was doing everything.
Candia says his parents encouraged him to be active, but it wasn't until he played that first note that he felt harmony.
But when I started doing music, was that moment when this little kid was moving all around and doing everything, finds peace.
He moved to the U.S. in 2014, where he's been entertaining crowds and teaching kids Spanish with singing and puppetry.
Hola, 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 ¿cómo estás? But we learn what it means. Hello, 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 how are you? I have a family. and I have a very good career here. So it's like, it's amazing.
His Latin fusion music, which blends cultures and genres, has attracted diverse crowds.
If they like merengue or if they like bachata, even if they like banda, they go to my shows, you know, because they wanna try something different.
His work has also been recognized by the Sacramento Sammys, but it's not the accolades nor the fame that he's after, it's the feeling that music brings, no matter who you are.
The people think that I am the one who's bringing joy to them, but actually, they are the ones who bring me joy.
Mariachi music has been historically performed by men, but today, all-female mariachi bands are changing the narrative. KCRA reporter Leticia Ordaz introduces us to Sacramento's Mariachi Bonitas.
Dinora Klingler has been singing her heart out since she was just a kid in Mexico City.
Music is the universal language. Music brings you peace, brings you harmony in your life. That's my belief.
Klingler is a multi-award-winning singer, songwriter, and musician.
This is a place that I play almost every other Thursday as a soloist.
Living in Sacramento for the past 13 years, she loves sharing her culture through music. But COVID got her thinking she needed to do more. Dinora says the pandemic was extremely difficult and she decided to start Mariachi Bonitas as a way to get herself out of this funk.
When you think of a mariachi, the first thing in your mind is gonna be a male mariachi with its instruments and hats. That's the norm, that's okay. But we want to break that.
We girls can rock the hat.
She put out the call on social media looking for girls to join her new band.
And I posted, I need girls. If you are interested in joining an all-female mariachi band, I'm an experienced musician. Boom, all those girls responded. And there's Mariachi Bonitas, is when we were born.
The band so far has 8 musicians, some as young as 17.
I have girls coming from Stockton, from Davis, from the Bay Area. But it's very interesting. It's very, very beautiful. We are doing music and it feels so good.
They rehearse weekly in her living room and have already performed at a number of events.
I am very proud. Oh, I am very, very proud, you know? And let me tell you, it's not easy to change the minds of people that are used to see traditions just being traditions like male mariachi bands.
Their outfits are vibrant.
So this is our custom-made Mariachi Bonitas outfit. You see, have the logo there.
Their songs tell stories.
Mi corazón estalla por tu amor. ¿Y tú qué crees? Que eso es muy normal.
What happens in those moments? Well, people transform themselves when they hear this music, and you see the response. They start singing along, they start, you know, whistling, and they're screaming. Why? Because this music is absolutely beautiful.
And seeing an all-girls mariachi band is empowering the Hispanic community.
I think they can see that everything is possible. And if they are in love with music and they can play an instrument and this is the genre that they choose to do, why not? There's absolutely no limits whatsoever.
In 2014, Klingler helped start Mariachi Festival de Sacramento.
They are not hearing that in the radio anymore. I think they love seeing their grandparents and parents enjoying this music. Here the secret is to make them fall in love with this music. So my hope is the children and young generations keep this beautiful music alive. We cannot let it die.
So we're ending our journey with the story of a Chinese interpreter who bridges the gap between two worlds with her hands.
I think the world definitely is getting smaller. I think with the technology, we people can communicate much better than before. I was born in Tianjin, China. My early years, I was with my grandparents. So I remember my mom coming back home to visit. She would bring me big bags of seashells. And I remember my dad coming back and bring me this fancy chocolate. I majored in English in college. And at that time, China was going through the opening up phase. So we could hear more about the outside world. They started this exchange program here. That's when I decided to come over. I remember the first time I came, I went to Borders and I was shocked with the free access to information. That was very impressive. At that time, I became a Christian here. I found a lot of materials that helped me a lot. I thought I could translate some of the materials that are not available in China yet, so that's why I pursued a master's degree in translation. Well, the plan I had was to go back to China, but that was when I met my husband, so that made me to reconsider my decision. I think definitely the experience living here has opened up my eyes. Americans think I am Chinese, and Chinese think I'm not Chinese anymore. So I can see some things from a different perspective, and I think that's a good thing. As a translator-interpreter, I think now it's a very interesting time to live in because the landscape is changing dramatically. Will translators be replaced by machines in 10, 20 years? I don't think it will replace interpreters completely, but it definitely will be really helpful. People need to talk, even if they see things differently. So by understanding each other and see things from each other's point of view, that will, I think, help them to solve problems better, faster. Language is a way for us to express ourselves. It's important for us to become better listeners, I think. My name is Wei.
We really do hope that these stories inspired you to embrace the international connections in your community. I'm Jared Hill. From all of us here at Stitch, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.